Gadge, do you remember when we started playing back in 2000, 2001?
Yeah.
I think you started playing Friday, and we used to wear surplus German fleck on.
I actually wore the first game. I think I wore my old TA gear.
Did you?
Yeah. So I'm not buying new kit, but yeah, we used to wear what £5 trousers.
Well, I ordered some flecked-arm parka and a flecked-arm pair of trousers and spent about 20 quid in total.
But that's why we chose it for the team, because it was a different pattern, it was effective, and it was cheap, so it wasn't anyone could join in for 20, 30 quid.
But these days, there's a complete plethora of
so many camo patterns.
Yeah, combat gear from very, very cheap to very, very expensive, which is exactly what we're going to talk about today. So I'm Tom Anvil Hibberd.
And I'm Gadge Harvey.
Welcome back to Anvil Airsoft TV, and today we're going to run through combat trousers, mainly the Crye pattern. And we're going to go through clones and some very good repros and then some actual Cryes. And what we want to talk about is more of the kind of what do you get for the money? So what added advantages,
features and benefits
do you get when you spend more money?
I mean, because they're all perfectly fine for playing airsoft in.
Yeah, and one thing we want to be very clear about is none of these are unsuitable for playing airsoft in. So what we're going to start with though is a pair of British Army surplus trousers.
Pretty much the benchmark, isn't it, I think, for combat trousers.
Yep.
Very representative of an issue pattern trouser around the world. Design that hasn't changed since the 1950s. So you've got two big cargo pockets, you've got hand warmer pockets.
Is that what they're called?
Hand warmer pockets apparently.
So and what are these buttons?
They're called Canadian buttons, which are designed to replace the original 4-dot type buttons that the stitching would come on them, and they'd fall off. And the idea being you can fix it in the field a lot easier.
Yeah, and people tape over this as well, don't they? So this
stop it wearing.
Okay, but you can get these for as little as £5 online. Yeah. If you go to an army surplus store, you're probably looking at £10 to £15, even the really modern MTP ones.
Yeah, and they're not a bad trouser. I think the only failing they've got really is they're a bit thin, so if it's cold and wet, you want something underneath them.
Yep. But for starting out, you don't need to spend a lot of money.
That and DPM's a great pattern for British woodland.
Yeah, and we can get them an more modern MTP pattern as well. Yeah. And there's absolutely tons of these at your local army surplus centre. So if you're starting airsoft and don't fancy wearing one of the random boiler suits you tend to get given.
Yeah, and it's worth noting, Tom, as well, that as we'll talk about some of the later ones, more expensive patterns, as these are military issue, unless you've got a very, very old pair that have been laundered to bits, they're probably going to be IR treated as well.
Yeah, so what that means is, that's infrared resistant?
Infrared retardant or something like that, isn't it?
Okay, so some clothes, a lot of mod civilian clothes, will start glowing as soon as they get hit with infrared illuminator, or even just under passive light on night vision.
As we've seen in some of the previous videos.
So even a black t-shirt under night vision can appear white or very light grey. Yeah. Okay,
especially if it's been washed out a lot.
Now, for most of you won't be playing at night, so it's not much of an issue. However, for some of the more expensive trousers, we'll get into that a bit later on. Okay, so this is our first trouser.
Soldier 95. Cheerful, does the job.
£5, £10, £15 does the job perfectly fine. Bash actually built pretty well. The stitch count's pretty good. The material's not too bad. Generally pretty well made. Even for contract trousers.
But not the features some players want these days. No, so moving on, we look at something with a bit more of a modern cut to it.
So Gadge, what are these?
Right, they are a cloned pair of Crye style trousers I bought on eBay years ago in the Cryptech Typhon pattern.
This is a lot lighter than Cryptech Typhon.
Well, it wasn't when I bought it. When I bought it, they were jet black with that deep blue kind of pattern.
Okay.
In one wash, they went almost grey. You can even see the ripstop fabric lines coming through.
So this is what, 1 or 2 washes?
1 or 2 washes. I mean, they've been hammered now, so I use them as work trousers.
Right, okay.
But originally, I was very disappointed because they were cheap. They were £25 a pair. And the features are good, the knee pads work, the Velcro works, the pockets are in the right place. For me, with long legs, the knee pads actually end up being sort of thigh pads.
Yeah, these aren't.
Because they don't drop.
Okay, so let's go through some of the features. So some of the upgrades over the
Soldier 95.
So you've got a padded waist belt.
Yep.
Well, there's at least a couple of layers, so there's a bit more comfortable around here.
And it's a Velcro closure that wraps over, yeah?
So a Velcro closure, so that's a bit easier. You've got some more pockets. You've got much of the cargo pockets.
And they've been located more to the back of the thigh now, the cargo pockets.
So these are...
In fact, you can probably see how dark it used to be by looking in the inside flaps.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea what it looked like when I bought it.
Yeah, a lot darker.
Yeah.
Again, these are Velcro closed rather than... British issue tend to be...
Button closure.
Button closure, they tend to seem to
even
like
on
that.
the really high spec stuff these days.
They've got these thigh pockets. so you can put little bits and bobs in there. Your fags and your dip, if you're one of them.
Or your bandage.
Your bandage. What they do have is an integrated knee pad.
And that knee pad came with it as well, which is interesting to note. So some do, some don't.
Yep. It's not very hard, it's not massively hard, but it's going to take some impact.
You'll also note as well, the knee pad areas there don't have any Velcro type bits in them, so those knee pads can slide out.
Oh, okay. So these, oh right, so they're just literally...
They're literally held in by pressure.
Yeah, so if you go to ground quite hard...
you could pop that out, lose a knee pad.
Okay, but these were 25 quid.
£25 tops,
It's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And they look like some of their really high-speed Crye stuff, even though they lack some of the functionality. They've even got, so these pockets were originally for tourniquets and things on the bottoms.
And again, perfectly functional, and for, good for a game of urban airsoft, but the longevity in them, as you can see, purely on the camouflage pattern, isn't there.
And the stitching...
It's not terrible.
Stitching's a bit rougher. It's actually rougher than the Combat 95 stuff. And the thread tension...
Yeah, you can see bits here coming loose.
Yeah, so the thread tension is not very high. So thread tension being... Sometimes you give thread tension that's too high and it ends up kind of puckering the fabric. And if it's too loose, the stitching can be a bit proud like this. And you can see this is already starting to blow out a little bit.
I think for me, the main thing was I wanted to have a black kit Typhon look. Yeah. And after one wash, I had a grey washed out look. And I felt that I kind of wasted my money.
This has something I'm going to be going on about. It's got a standard crotch.
Yeah.
So
there's no stretch in that.
There's no stretch or there's no diamond pattern in the crotch, which you'll see in some of the later trousers. It is bar tacked and reinforced though, which is a bit better because you can imagine when you go into ground or niggling,
there's a lot of stress on those parts.
A lot of stress in that area. With the non-stretch trouser, and we'll show some stretch trousers later. They tend to have to use a looser fit. So when you've got stretch panels, and again we'll show you those trousers, they can have a tighter, kind of more athletic cut because the stretch panels take up the movement. Whereas these will look like a Crye trouser, but they're probably built more on a kind of standard loose baggy BDU style. And
I think we can show that on the next pair. Actually, the very close, very broad differences between them.
Okay, so our next trouser.
Wolf Grey Emmerson combat trousers.
Ooh, bendy.
Yeah, and these have some really good features that are similar to those on the Crye trouser at a fraction of the cost.
So again, this is a Crye clone.
Yep.
So what do we get in this trouser over the other trouser? So I see stretch panels.
Yeah, genuine stretch panels as well.
These stretch panels. So it's not the best stretchy fabric, but it does stretch. Which when we talked about on the previous trouser, this allows this one to probably be cut tighter to the body.
Yeah.
And then the stretch panels do the work. In the crotch, which we just talked about previously, again it doesn't meet in a standard cross. You've got a diamond-shaped stretch panel in there, which gives them a lot of mobility around there. You see, I've blown trousers out around the crotch.
And that's also across the back of the waist as well. So when you're bending over, it doesn't pull them right into your crotch.
And again, you've got them. Yeah, you've got that stretch panel. So this is quite a thin stretch material, but it's pretty good. But again, it gives you a bit more, as you say.
You also notice some of the pockets are zipped on these, rather than just being Velcro closure.
Yeah. And again, these have that knee pad feature. Are these ones adjustable?
They are adjustable. They've got two little...
so again, you're paying a bit more money.
Two little cords in there.
If you watch that knee pad, as I pull this up, it lifts the knee pad, so you can adjust the length to fit over your kneecap. So this how much was this trouser roughly?
About £75.
£75.
Also worth noting that with these ones, there's Velcro to hold in those knee pads there.
Okay, so these are more securely. It's still not brilliant, but it's
better.
It's a lot better. They're not just going to pop out quite as much.
Also, under the knee pad is actually a flap. So you can basically, if you don't want to wear knee pads, you don't have that stretch panel showing.
Oh, okay, so you can cover
the stretch panel up to have a harder wear in front, so you're not wearing out that panel.
So there's also
nice little touch.
So stretching in it. So this is this whole knee, this panel sewn onto this, and this whole knee is stretchy and can move around. So quite a bit more money, but actually,
I think you're actually getting quite a lot for £30.
And again, you got the not quite a padded waist.
Yeah, but it's a nice adjustment tabs on the back as well. Yeah. Plastic adjustment tabs. So you can on cords.
So you can reduce the size of the waistband, nip it in for you. Okay, and let's look at the stitching.
So this is where it falls down, Tom, because I haven't worn this pair for Airsoft yet. What I have done is put some flooring in the attic up with it, and around one of the knee pads, I can't tell which one it is, the stitching is starting to pull away on one side. Here. And that's without any real use. Oh, that might actually be the drainage bit there. I think it's actually on the side. on one of these bits. You can only really tell when you've got them on.
It's
starting to go, and it's not really had any heavy or industrious use to it yet.
Yeah.
I also find that when you kneel down in these, those knee pads are prone to popping out.
Yeah, so
yeah. They're Velcroed, but the Velcro isn't that great.
Yeah, you can see you only get a tiny bit. There you go. You only get a tiny little bit of Velcro in those, and they're not really. It's like that soft mesh in there, rather than a kind of hook and pile.
Yeah, but I think if you want that Crye
Yeah.
G2, G3 sort of look, but you don't want to spend a couple of £100 on a pair of trousers for £75, given the knee pads come with it as well, which on some trousers a pair of knee pads will cost you £30.
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good buy.
Well, I think that's a significant upgrade over the previous trouser.
Yeah.
So let's go with we've got another trouser which is around the same price as the Emmerson. This is the Viper Gen 2. So how much the Gen 1s were about?
Oh, they're about 50-60 quid, I think.
Okay, and these were around 70, depending where you get them from.
Yeah.
So if you could hold those up,
sure.
So that people can see them. So Viper, British company, tend to do quite cheapish and cheerful, but utilitarian
but really
gear.
Quite good for the price.
Yeah, really good for the price. So this is their previous. So it's not as good a copy of the Cryes as the Emmerson.
You're missing the stretch panels.
Yeah, you're missing the stretch panels. Ironically, though, it looks like you've got stretch panels in these. You don't.
It's not a stretchy fabric.
This is not a stretchy fabric.
Right, okay.
Or maybe it was. It's
a little bit.
Tiny little bit. But
it gives you the look.
Yeah, if you're going for that look, but it's definitely not. And then again, if you go to the crotch on these, it's a standard.
So it's not a stretch crotch.
Standard. No. This is standard.
But there is a stretch panel on the back. Just about to see it there.
If you try really hard, it stretches. Yeah. Again, absolutely fine for airsoft. And if you're going for that kind of Crye look, absolutely fine.
And they're both rip stop as well.
Yep.
Now, one thing I've noticed with the Viper trousers, I think the trousers really well made. I find sometimes the stitching around the knee pad can be a little bit.
These have, These have actually got a you've got padded waistband on these, and again you've got the elastic adapters.
Which oddly you don't have on this pair.
Now, one of the advantages to the Viper trouser is it's in British sizes.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at the Emmerson trouser in particular, they're a Far East manufacturer, and even their extra large is not extra.
Well, those TMC are XL, and like I say, the knee pads on those go onto my thighs, which we'll go into on later ones. When you can actually choose a make that does a different leg length to waist length, for tall people like me with incredibly lanky legs, it's really a godsend.
So if you're a bigger chap or a taller chap, going for Viper rather than an Emmerson or TMC might be your only option really to get them to fit, because they're made in Western sizes rather than Asian sizes.
As I was saying earlier, I think the only thing it's this stitching around the knee pad can sometimes be a little bit rough, but it's how much wear they're going to get. It's not that big a deal, really.
I think absolutely fine for the money. So if you're, I think what we're saying is if you're a bigger,
definitely if you've got more of an interesting body shape, it's probably a better choice for you.
If you're a bigger gentleman or a taller gentleman, Viper, and you're on a bit of a budget, Viper is probably the way to go.
It's worth noting those pads again are on extenders, so you can drop the height of those ever so slightly.
Right,
there is actually I believe there's a cable inside there I've taped up. There might not be. It might be actually inside the. Yes, there is. It's inside the actual.
Inside that pocket. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think they've put it back in the.
Yeah. Because I think with those ones it pulls up on the stretch panel, whereas it pulls up actually just the whole leg up.
Yeah, because there's no stretch panel on these. Okay.
So again, we're looking at what, £50, £70?
£70. Yeah. You can probably shop around and get those at a good price. And they do them in a variety of camouflages as well.
And it's popular because it works.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good brand.
I haven't IR tested these, but I suspect that I highly doubt they're IRR treated.
What do we have here then?
So
Tom?
these are my Romans.
Okay.
Roman Kurzaz on Facebook runs a stitch shop, and he does accurate, pretty much one-to-one clones of Crye combats and pretty much anything else actually that he's got patterns for. I ordered these because M81 Woodland in an actual Crye is phenomenally expensive. It was only really made and issued to MARSOC in a fire
because they started using it, revamped it, didn't they?
Well, they did it to blend in with Afghan National Army because they were wearing surplus,
comfier cut,
but they wanted cool kit. So they're basically they're just impossible to get. Whereas these were €200.
Okay. So probably not far off that in pounds of the current exchange rate.
Yeah, so not cheap. But they are very, very, very nice copies. So they have a proper padded. So again, what you're spending that money on, you've got a proper padded waistband.
Yeah.
The stretch
Panels actually stretch.
Good stretch panels made of, and this is a much thicker material than the stuff on the Emmerson. So it's much
It's not going to rip.
Not going to rip. Again, it's adjustable waistband. You've got you've got the
crotch is stretchy.
The crotch is stretchy. The material itself is a heavier weight than the Emmerson.
And around the knee, you've got the stretch as well. Yeah.
So the material's better. Stronger, thicker. The stitching on these is pretty good. It's better than any of the kind of general commercial off-the-shelf clone stuff you get. And you can order these. These are available in the full range of Crye sizes. So you touched on it earlier about leg length. You can get these in 32 long, regular, short, whatever you want.
And it's interesting sometimes, if you do have an unusual size, it's often quite cheaper because they're the ones that people don't get issued.
Yep. I do have. So we talked a lot about the knee panels on these again. So you've got the stretch panels Gadge talked about, which is adjustable inside this thigh pocket.
Okay, so again, that's on 2 bungees rather than a tape.
Yeah. On the 2 bungees, which gives it a bit of movement while you're moving along. These are actual Crye knee pads, and these are, compared to the other ones,
stuck in.
significantly harder to get out. And he uses proper Velcro.
So again, when you bought those trousers, though, they won't come with knee pads.
So
that's another. If you're going to buy proper Crye ones, you're looking at £35 to £40 for a pair, aren't you?
Easily, yeah. But these are much nicer. Again, these are nicer knee pads than a lot of the clones. Bear in mind, these knee pads are the same price as some of the earlier trousers we looked at. The foam's better. They're better made. The kneecap. This is quite a grippy. Sometimes these can be quite either really soft or they can be really hard.
Too hard, no flex.
And they don't actually. And they don't grip. These are meant to grip slightly onto a surface.
I see you've also got those panels like the Emmerson have in there that you can.
So the Emmersons are actually a fairly good
copy.
Fairly good copy. These are a better copy. He's replicated all of the panels, and there's basically no compromises in this, other than they're not made in America, and they're probably not using quite the same quality
but you're
of fabric.
Probably paying for the fact it's a small run as well.
Yeah, they're completely custom made. So you order them 1-to-1. You get in touch with him, say exactly what you want. Bear in mind.
So if I wanted Crye trousers done in DPM, he could do it for me.
He could do it for you. Yeah, if he's got the fabric. Yeah, you can have anything you want from him. But you've got to be exact about exactly what you want because it's not English, isn't his first language.
Okay.
I think they're great. I think for the money, they're really good. They're not quite up to Crye quality. The stitching isn't quite as good. The stitch count and thread tension isn't quite as good as on a pair of Crye trousers. But again, I'd happily go and play a long weekend or a week. Go out for a week in these.
They look good to me.
They're extremely well made. Very, very handsome. Right, and on to our final pair of trousers. Gadge, these are your actual Crye.
Actual Crye precision trousers.
Actual Crye precision trousers. So one of the reasons these are expensive.
I'm afraid I've left the belt on there. Sorry.
Is that these are made in America.
Yep.
Made in America from fully American materials by American workers. So you're going to pay. A premium for that.
Yeah.
They're not made in the Far East.
And as we mentioned with the Soldier 95, they're using IRR fabrics and dyes.
Yeah. So if not gluing in the dark matters to you, you don't really have much of an option. You're going to have to use either surplus gear or stuff like this Crye or a high-end manufacturer like UF Pro or one of those guys. So what do you get over the...
Well, the stretch panels are amazing. So if you look at this leg here, there's a tiny little nick on one of them where I actually had a thorn go straight to the stretch panel, try and tear the stretch panel and just bounce out again.
So this stretch material is better than the Romans.
In fact, it's just there. You can see those little runs. There's tiny little nicks.
Hold them up.
Just there. There's 3 little dot nicks. That's where a thorn literally dragged across and tried to.
Yeah. So this stretch material is better quality than the Romans have just showed you, which was better than the other stuff. This is really high quality stretch material, which means it's going to last. It's not going to blow out. The stitching is extremely good. Looking at it, they're really well made. Kind of in the, but then they should be because how much were these being new?
I actually dropped on with those because I've got a very long leg length. They were £185 new, which is very cheap for a pair of clothes.
Was that on eBay though?
It was on eBay. Yeah, they were new in bags though. They were.
So these retail at can be up to £300.
£300 roughly.
£300.
I think it's because I had a very unusual size, so they're the ones left over in stores,
Yeah.
So there's actually not. I cover window on them on these, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe later version Cryes have it, but these don't.
And again, so if you're looking for something top notch, again they have all the stretch panels. They'll have the. Actually, interestingly, they don't have a stretchy crotch.
No.
So these are
Gen 2, I think.
Yeah, so these are Gen 2s and Gen 3s. But if you're looking for IRR resistant,
and they're very comfy.
And they're very comfy, so they have a very athletic cut.
Yeah.
Most BDUs have to fit everybody, so they tend to be quite big and bulky. Whereas, well, as we've talked about, these are quite athletic and slim.
And they've been given a bit of punishment. I mean, I've had them for like nearly a year now, and I've gamed them a lot. There's that kind of myth that, you know, people don't want to get their Cryes dirty. But to be honest, I crawl through the mud in those, wash them with cold water, they're fine. And I've gone through thorn bushes, I've gone through gravel, and there's no wear on them. The colours are still strong.
Yeah, everything's really, all the stitching and all the, one of the things you, and I'll show some pictures, when you go over, all the kind of high stress points have been reinforced. Everything's been tucked down, so there's no, you know, it's going to avoid that kind of damage that you might get and stuff, pockets ripping off and stuff blowing out that you get on other trousers. But you don't need.
Do you know what? If it wasn't for the fact that they were cheap when I saw them, I probably wouldn't have. If they were £300, I wouldn't have spent, because you don't need it for Airsoft.
No,
you really don't. I dropped on lucky with a cheap pair there, and I thought, do you know what? I'll probably never own them otherwise.
But I think there are. I think what we're trying to say is there are significant advantages in a pair of trousers like this. So they're going to be slimmer fit, they're going to stretch, they're going to move with you.
And they're going to last.
Are they going to make you a better player? No. Are you going to be more comfortable? Yes. Are they going to last? Yes. Are you going to feel like you look good? Which is, let's be honest, half the battle in Airsoft is, well, most of it is actually.
It's a very style-based game, isn't it?
Looking good in the safe zone is important to a lot of people. So yeah, so I think what we're saying is there are trousers for every budget. There are reasons to have trousers and combat gear to be at different brands, and there's a reason why some trousers cost £300 and some trousers cost £30. But it is a case of diminishing returns. You get less and less and less for your money, but that's the same in anything in the world.
I still personally think that sometimes decent surplus trousers are probably the best value for money. Again, it depends on the nation. If you get something that's a European nation, they're usually very, very well made. If you get some pre-90s Russian, Soviet era combats, they can be a real lottery.
Yeah, I think you really, if you go and get some surplus British MTP, it's really very, very solid, very well made, modern British kit, you'd be absolutely fine.
See, my money would be on US M81 Woodland surplus. I think it's a great pattern for the UK.
It's quite hard to find now.
It is, but when you find it, it's virtually indestructible. It's a ripstop, it's a good pattern that doesn't fade, it's got a really nice cut to it. I prefer the cut to Soldier 95.
Okay.
So I think if I was going to buy combat trousers on a budget, I'd go for US BDUs.
So what do you wear when you play Airsoft? Have you got cheap gear, expensive gear, something in the middle? Can you feel the difference? Does it make you feel better? Please let us know in the comments down below. I've been Tom Anvil Hibberd.
I've been Gadge Harvey.
Please like, subscribe, ding that bell to get notifications whenever we upload a new video, and we'll see you next time.